Today's topic, oh my gosh, the people's champion. No, not The Rock, but Steven Jackson, former NBA player. He's an analyst on ESPN, and he recently made a video stating in regards to the NBA coming back. Like majority of NBA basketball fans would be elated to see the league come back, because there's a lot of things that a lot of people who are interested, very intrigued and very invested in the league. Invested in basketball. He made some very good points in his 1-minute video, and I just wanted to go ahead and preface this statement first before we actually delve into what he said and then analyze. I wanted to preface this statement first. When you look at the sports leagues and you look at the North American sports leagues, the ones that generate a lot of money, especially, majority of those leagues have a very large number of participants that happen to be so-called black. And for a lot of men who have entered these sports leagues like the NFL and the NBA, they always talk about what a privilege it is to be a part of this league, to be able to play the game that they are exemplary at, and be able to make a 7 to 9 figure income based on their talents. That cannot be underestimated. Nor can it be something that we just say, you know what, we need to just bring the league back. In my opinion, when certain players made it known that they were far more interested, that they had interests in other endeavors other than the racial injustice that is currently pervading the landscape of America as of right now, in regards to the antipathy between the police and the way that they treat and at this point, most Americans just recognize it as it's the police versus the common man. But we all know that they start their attack with the so-called black man. And to Steven Jackson's point, there's a few players that would basically co-signed his point that the league should not come back until more is done to deal with the racial tension that is going on right now. Players like Kyrie Irving and even Dwight Howard have come out and talked about how that if the league does come back, it will just simply bring forth the very thing that will detract from the steam that has been generated from a lot of the protests and a lot of people with the outpouring and the outcry of injustice. Bringing the league back would simply bring a large distraction to the number of so-called blacks who would need to be ready, who would need to be at the ready in regards to this issue, considering a lot of these athletes have been given such a large platform and a large microphone. The fact that most of them are not speaking, it actually shows that yes, they have other allegiances, unfortunately. And it's not even Steven Jackson, who is on ESPN's payroll, or he's an analyst, right? I don't want to be incorrect as far as who he works for or anything like that, but he still has to report to somebody. And the thing is, for the most part, a lot of these athletes are contractors now, and a lot of them are making way more money than has ever been readily available to make in the sports world. Most of these guys could retire and never have to work a day in their life if they're simply smart with their money. So that's why some guys like Dwight Howard and Kyrie Irving, I applaud what they are doing, because there are other players who have other interests, who have another agenda in regards to what they're trying to accomplish for the NBA to come back. Guys like LeBron James, who has a lot invested in this season, and it honestly brings me to think about a lot of things that have transpired from the offseason up to this point that have LeBron James' name written all over it. And it just kind of shows me now more than ever that LeBron James, he's a double agent. You know, he's working for two different factions. And I mean, LeBron isn't being mentioned in this video with Steven Jackson, but I just wanted to say that for LeBron to be such a large proponent for racial justice in America, being who he is as the king, for him to say that bringing the league back would be a good thing, he clearly does not understand what he's saying, nor does he understand the magnitude of what is going on. You have to also remember, a lot of these celebrities, they haven't been a so-called average person since they've hit that level of stardom. And they really just don't have the same level of understanding or the same level of copacetic ability when it comes to understanding what the average so-called black man goes through versus what the average NBA player goes through. When you're an NBA player, you're amplified. Your brand is amplified, and so is your image. And for the most part, most NBA players wouldn't have to deal on the level with the police the way that the average black man would. And it's obvious to me that Kyrie Irving and Dwight Howard understand this. Now, it's funny to me, LeBron, you were at the epicenter of racial discrimination at one point back in 2017 when allegedly the N-word was spray painted on your Brentwood, when the N-word was allegedly spray painted on LeBron James's Brentwood home. We still have yet to see anybody follow up on that story or even hear what came of it. But to see LeBron be a proponent of the league coming back just goes to show you that he's a race hustler, just like Al Sharpton, just like a lot of these guys. But I'm not here to call anybody out. Instead, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to look at what Mr. Steven Jackson said, and we're gonna dissect it from there.
Hey, what up, world? Man, I love the NBA, man. I got, that's my family. But now ain't the time to be playing basketball, y'all. Now ain't the time. Playing basketball is gonna do one thing: take all the attention off the task at hand right now, what we fighting for. Everybody gonna be worrying about the playoffs. They're gonna have all that blasted all over the TV, and nobody's gonna be talking about getting justice for all these senseless murders by the police, and nobody's gonna be focusing on the task at hand, bro. None of these white owners have spoken up. None of them are taking a stand. Yeah, they might post a video when the season start or saying what we should do, but they ain't doing nothing. Playing basketball ain't gonna do nothing but make them money and take the attention of what we fighting for, what we marching for. It's bigger than all of us, and it's bigger than the game. And I'm sad that we still got to explain that to people, bro. Sad.
And you know what's hilarious about what Mr. Jackson mentioned in this video? We've seen this happen in the past where, I mean, like, how many summers do we have to go through where we literally see this kind of stuff happen? I mentioned earlier, LeBron James had the N-word spray painted on his Brentwood estate in California 3 years ago during the finals. And even then, no such noise was made from constituents of basketball, the NBA owners, or anything like that to seek justice just for LeBron. He is the most, I'm like, LeBron, you are the most, as far as NBA players right now, you are the biggest cash cow to the NBA, whether you understand that or not. The NBA sees you as the biggest cash out. Now, biggest cash cow, or at least they did. Now they've got other people that they can cash out on. Like, you know, like Giannis and Luka and, you know, Trae Young and a lot of these other young guys. Eventually, they're just going to cash you aside. You're going to be just like these other older players. Eventually. So, they're not even going to stop. They're going to eventually even start tuning you out, LeBron. That's the worst part about it. And the fact that you are so bent on trying to bring the league back just so you can win another coveted championship, which, by the way, for most people, it probably have an asterisk next to it, and the fact that you would be winning it would cause a lot of controversy around it anyway. Is that what you really want? I guess it is, because that's the only attention that you really care about, is bringing attention to yourself. You're not in this for the same reasons, you're not doing what you're doing for the same reasons that Kyrie and Dwight Howard are. You think that you're going to come back and win or whatever, and you're going to do this for Kobe or racial injustice everywhere. I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I mean, like, listen, we've seen the way that NBA owners like Joe Lacob, Daryl Morey, I mean, like, if you were the real leader that you claim to be, LeBron, I'm not calling you out, but you know what? I am. I'm calling you out. If you were a real leader, if you were a real person, if you really understood the magnitude of what was going on, you would understand that co-signing such a thing makes you just as culpable, makes you just as bad as the people who won't care, as the people who don't care, because you're not doing enough due diligence to bring forth these issues to the right people so that way they can know and understand. You have a large platform where you can reach and where so many people listen to what you say, look at your posts and your Taco Tuesday, where the only thing that you're concerned with now is trying to keep playing basketball so you can keep earning your money. That's all you're concerned with. And that's obvious. Whether or not you stated that overtly doesn't matter, because it's all about the intentions behind what you're trying to do. It's obvious that where your own teammate Dwight Howard and your former teammate Kyrie Irving, where the divide is between them and you is, they understand what this is for. They understand why they're making the statements that they're making. They understand that they are commodities just like you, and that there's a reason. 70%. What would happen if every black player decided they're not going to come back, even if the league does? There is no league to return to watch. They're going to have to make a bunch of call-ups of G League players, probably even give a whole bunch of guys from the Euro League a chance, just so they could see if we could have NBA basketball. And I mean, like, I'll tell you one thing. I know this for a fact. If every so-called black player were to decide not to play, were to decide they were going to sit out until we actually got some real diplomacy, and that includes every so-called black man that is involved in the playoff picture, there is no basketball. We won't come back to it. Plain and simple. And I want to know. I want to know what really is the motivation behind some of these people for wanting to bring the league back. I want to know some of the motivations behind some of these people that want the NBA to return, or want any more of these distractions to come back into the fold. Because certain things right now, in the climate of where we are, they just need to be addressed. And until they are, honestly, none of these things will be rectified. I think that we as a people deserve to have justice brought forth. And we as a people need to do our best to look out for ourselves. And for LeBron, you still don't even know who spray painted the N-word on your gate. But you still want to go back to making money for these so-called owners who didn't care then. What makes you think that they'll care now? And they don't care now, just so you know. And that's the worst part about it. And you're still so willing and able to go back and play, all because you want a coveted championship. But anyway, that's all I have to say for this video, guys. What did you guys think about what Steven Jackson said? I know I kind of took this video to start tearing LeBron, but I mean, that wasn't what this was about. It's just that when he made certain statements, it just showed me, wow, this guy really is what he's projected himself to be. And it's just become glaringly obvious that LeBron James is disingenuous. And you know what? I do too. And Kyrie, I'm backing you. Dwight Howard, I'm backing you as well. I think that you guys' stance is far more important than coming back for some NBA basketball, which is only going to bring forth, what did Steven Jackson say? A distraction from what the real issues are. Anyways, please sure to leave a like, rating, and enjoy. If you enjoyed, peace. I need everybody to do this thingy again with this thingy right here, and they need to close the portal, the dimension to heck that they opened up back in February. And yeah, that'd be great.